Hey guys, Mattzaddy here for the Guitar Shop, here to give you some tips on how do you make the most of your practice time. Alright. The Guitar Shop with Mattzaddy. So I hope you're all doing well during this pandemic. I know these are strange times to say the least, but the world keeps on turning and we must press on. That being said, stay safe out there, everybody. So I'm sure most of you know what it feels like to never have enough practice time. And then when you finally do sit down to practice, it feels like time flies and you didn't accomplish anything that you set out to. Most musicians know what it's like to be in a playing rut where it feels like you're playing the same old patterns or the same old licks, and you're just not getting any better, and progress seems to have stopped. Oh, come on! With that in mind, I want to give you guys a handful of tips to help you make the most of your practice time so that you can see the progress that you'd like to. Now, just a disclaimer, there is no quick fix or easy fix to being better at your instrument. It does require hard work, but also smart work. But if you love your instrument and you love music, I am sure that you will rise to the challenge. Now, obviously, there are many ways to improve your playing, so what I've done is left a few more tips in the description that I found helpful when I was doing my research. But this video is going to focus on what I found to be the most effective ways to make the most of your practice time. Number 1. Commit the time and use your time wisely. Now, many of us talk about not getting any better at our playing, usually followed by every excuse in the book as to why we can't practice. I mean, I wanted to practice, but then I had to go to work and I had to eat, and there's only so many hours in the day, and the cat was driving me nuts. The fact is, if we want to get better, we have to commit the time and we have to actually do it. The best way I found to do this is to block out the time so that you have it set out no matter what, barring any emergencies, of course. Treat it the same way you would as if you were going to your job. It's not like you're not going to show up to work. The only difference here is, this is music. This should be fun. It's not like you're going to the dentist. I mean, who knows? Maybe you like your job, or maybe your job is music, in which case, awesome. Still gotta lock in the time though. And if you've fallen out of a good steady routine of practicing, don't think you gotta lock in hours in a row in order to make progress. Start with a half an hour a day and get into a steady routine of it. Remember, the way that our brains work is half an hour a day is way more productive than skipping a bunch of days and doing 4 hours in one day. Our brains need time to absorb this information, so if you're practicing on a continual basis, you're gonna see progress. Put it in your calendar, put a note on the fridge, staple it to your forehead, whatever you gotta do in order to make the time and stick to it. Just one more minute, I'm watching Star Trek. You gotta make the time. Speaking of time, number 2, use a metronome. Seriously, metronome. Most of us think we have pretty good time. And most of us are liars. Liars! Why must you turn this video into a house of lies? Most people change their tempos up and down all the time, and I will be the first to admit that when I get excited, I push the tempo. Just ask my drummer. It takes diligence, and you guessed it, practice in order to be able to maintain a steady tempo. No pocket? No groove. It's that simple. Make your metronome your best friend and you will more than likely see progress. And there's many different kinds out there. You can get the old school wind-up kinds like this, there's phone apps, there's all kinds of options out there for you. Another great reason why metronomes are effective brings us to... Number 3, it allows you to track your progress. If you want to improve where you are, you have to have some idea about the progress that you've made over what period of time and have a plan to get where you actually want to go. Many of us don't think of music practice the same way we do other goal-oriented things in our lives, but when you track your progress, you can see what improvements you've made over what period of time. Makes sense to me. Most teachers will say that having a mix of the following will send you on a positive trajectory with your playing. You need to do some techniques, specifically things to improve your dexterity, your timing, your groove. That could be scales, chords, exercises, stuff to improve your overall knowledge. Then there's your material and your repertoire. Most people are working on some kind of songs pretty much at all times. Then there's listening to the music that you actually want to play and dedicating time to that, but also listening back to your own playing. Yep, it's a really good idea to record yourself and listen back to it. Guitar Shop! Let's say you're working on a specific scale. Track your beats per minute, track how well you're playing it in time, and track if you're actually relaxed while you're doing it. These are all important things for you to look for. And obviously there are things that are going to be very specific to your discipline. I've left some templates for this in the description. Feel free to take a look and find the one that suits you best. If not, make one of your own. Try mapping out your practice the same way that you would a workout schedule. Have a warm-up and specific things that you work on in every practice. And, you guessed it, number 4, set goals. Realistic ones, but also challenging ones. Many of us have different visions about where we see our playing going, so it's important to have goals, both in the short term and in the long term. So if your goal is to become a guitar god, you may want to put that in the long term pile. Think about what steps you're going to have to take in your practice in order to be able to achieve that, both in each practice itself and in the long term. Oh, hi, kitty. Have a goal set for each practice session and at specific time intervals. A month is a good start, then 3 months, and 6 months, and a year. Some people use a journal, some people like putting up a whiteboard on the wall that they can see all the time. Find what works for you. Another great goal that's worked for me is a deadline, whether it's a gig that I've got coming up or a recording session that I'm working on. You'd be surprised the practice time you can find when you've got a deadline and how inspiration will kick into gear. Now, in order to do that, you're gonna need to eliminate your distractions. That's number 5. Both the space you're in and the tools that you use can be distractions if you're not aware of it. Make sure your practice space is actually conducive to practice and a place that will inspire you to play more. Not a place for checking Facebook or checking your email or whatever other distractions that we normally will come up with. Where's my kitty, by the way? There he is. Focus your time and be intentional with what you're doing. Focused, attentive practice in shorter spans will always be better than long, distracted practicing or checking your socials every 5 minutes. And I gotta get that selfie just right. Yeah, look at me practice. Yeah, look at me working on my craft. Yeah. Turn your socials off. Turn off your social media. If you're using technology to help you practice, like if you're using some kind of an app or your metronome is your phone, turn off your notifications or put your phone in airplane mode if you can. Get rid of those distractions and you'll be much better off. Keep your distractions out of the way and you have a much better chance at making progress. That being said, number 6, focus on what needs the most work and use your time wisely. It's so easy to waste your time noodling away and playing the same old things that you always do. But guess what? That's not actually going to make you any better at your playing. If you want to rock your favorite 4 chords till the end of time, that's awesome, but if you actually want to make progress with your playing, you have to challenge yourself. Yes, challenge yourself to work on the things that you suck at. And don't just play the songs all the way through if you keep making the same mistakes in the same spots. I like to compare it to an obstacle course. If you keep messing up on obstacle 4, isolate it, work on it, then put it back with everything else. With your playing, if you're having a problem with one section repeatedly, take that out of whatever you're working on, isolate it, loop it, get it solid, then put it back into the phrase, and then back into the song. You gotta practice smarter, not necessarily longer. And if you're not seeing the progress that you want or you don't know where to go next with your playing, number 7, get a teacher. There are some people out there that are very good at self-study, but an objective eye is always going to see things in your playing that you're not. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, and the best person to help you with that is usually somebody who specializes in your craft. Find somebody you like, somebody who cares, somebody who inspires you, but most importantly, somebody who's going to hold you accountable. Find your Yoda. Do or do not. There is no try. And if you need a teacher, I know a guy. And finally, number 8, positive motivation. Sometimes straight up practice can be a drag, so it's important to keep yourself motivated, especially when you're frustrated. Rewarding yourself for when you make an accomplishment in your playing is a good way to remind yourself why you're doing this in the first place. Remember, you actually like playing, and rewarding yourself for the accomplishments you make in that can help keep you positively motivated so that you keep going back to the practice room and shed. And that's it. So what practice tips have helped you with your own playing? Feel free to leave a comment if you think we've missed anything as far as good practice tips. I mean, good advice is good advice no matter where it comes from, even the internet. Ha ha! Thanks guys, if you like what we're doing here with these videos, feel free to like and subscribe and share, because sharing is caring. Be sure to check out my artist channel as well for some original mattzaddy tunes and a whole lot of other videos that are on the way. Now what are you waiting for? Get back to the practice room. Oh, what a boy! Stay safe everybody. See you in the next video.